Hey guys, something bizarre, something unthinkable happened this Friday. When I went to office, I logged in and I started seeing on my computer. My teammates were getting blue screens and they were getting crashes. I thought these are like one-off events, but then I started getting the news that computers from all over the world started crashing, and it was unthinkable. Failure of this level, and I don't know how my setup didn't crash, but certainly I may have missed some downloads of some security files, I guess. So I was lucky, but most of the people in IT are facing this, where their setups are getting crashes. They are getting the seeing the blue screen of death, a sad emoji with a blue screen in background and percentage of recovery. Basically, that's when your setup crashes and it goes into recovery, and it saves a crash dump. If you have a setting in your setup, then it saves a crash dump of that failure, and basically dumps the whole memory and reboots. Now the problem didn't end there. Fine, if there is a crash it can reboot and recover, but it did not recover because the failure cause of this crash was a driver. This driver was of a it was like an application which would keep an eye on your setup and take care of the security aspect, that nobody attacks with a cyber attack. And that company, which is supposed to protect you from a cyber attack, took down almost all, like a lot of the setups all over the world, something that even hackers can just imagine. So what they do was, this driver, it runs on your setup and it runs in the kernel mode. There are two modes. There are two levels of security on which your operating system runs: kernel mode and user mode. In your user mode, all your applications, your Windows, Excel, XP, PowerPoint, you name it, your browser, everything runs. And when one of them fails, it does not affect the others, because all of them run with in isolated spaces, and they are managed by Windows in such a way that when one of them fails, it doesn't affect the other. They cannot access each other's memory. They have restricted memory access, and they take turn and execute their code, and it is very organized. But when it comes to that, is your upper layer, but beneath the hood is your kernel space. In that kernel space, basically your drivers and your operating systems and applications with very high privilege run. So that is where it was running. Now the problem was this: your setup cannot boot without the Crowdstrike driver, which caused it to crash. So Crowdstrike driver caused it a crash, and then it has to boot up, but it cannot boot up without that driver, because that is a necessary like a driver for your setup to boot up, and it would go into the dreaded recovery mode. So basically you would go into recovery, and either you boot up and crash again, or you can't boot up again. So you are stuck. All the servers for all the airlines are stuck, planes are stuck, airports are stuck, hospitals are affected, all the small business are affected, all the large companies are affected. Employees are having a wonderful time because they don't have work, because their laptop just crashed on a Friday. And it is like amazing and very hilarious to watch that something like this could happen in today's day and age. So finally, what the solution is that you have to go to recovery mode or safe mode, and then you have to, either if it is your like a work laptop which is protected by a BitLocker, then you have to take a BitLocker key from the IT guys. Otherwise you should be able to log in, you should be able to boot in recovery mode. When you boot that, you go to C drive. You basically after that go to your program files, and then you go to Crowdstrike, and you delete this file. and then you boot it up again in normal mode, and your laptop is fine or your setup is fine. So the solution is easy comparatively, or a better solution could be to uninstall Windows and go switch to Linux, but we'll talk about that later. Now, regarding this crisis, this catastrophe, how did this happen? So basically, when your companies take for granted the engineering, and they neglect engineering and start paying it more attention to getting more money by selling that product to companies without taking into account that their product may fail, and investing more in the engineering and testing, then these things happen. And when we take things for granted and give the kernel space of almost all the company computers in the world to one single company, and all it takes is a bad code to take down everything. The founder of C once said that with C++, sorry, founder of C++ once said that with C++, it's hard to shoot in on your foot, but when you do, you blow up your whole leg. So basically, that is what has happened. There are plenty of crash dumps all around the world, and you can take a look at one. I'll leave a comment in the description below, a link in the description below, where a guy from Twitter has analyzed a crash dump. Basically, what happened is it was a null pointer which didn't get dereferenced. So it was as simple as that. This kind of errors, this kind of bugs will be there in your code, will be there in any code, but it shouldn't have come, and it shouldn't have been pushed. Now what happens is, you can say that okay, so then we can blame Microsoft, right? Because finally Microsoft should have taken care that some third party company shouldn't be able to crash their company, their OS so easily. But here is a catch. Microsoft does this give this certification for you to run any driver, or for you to allow any driver to be run on kernel space. It is given to like the Microsoft team, and they do what we call a vehicle certification, WHQL. There they do rigorous testing in a various types of systems to check whether it is safe and compatible, and then basically they give you a vehicle certificate, and after that you are free to use that particular driver. Now the issue with that is that takes a few days, but Crowdstrike cannot afford a few days of lead time for its driver to be deployed, because what happens is that its core driver, which is there, is vehicle certificate, but what it does is like to prevent against attacks, mind you, like they are supposed to prevent you against attacks. So to prevent against attacks that may happen, like a 0-day attack which you have never seen, they use AI, and they use pattern recognition to run the driver in the kernel mode to keep a watch on each and every software that is running, for each and every application that is running, to keep and they use configuration files which the driver goes and reads, and from there, using them, they they are updated with the latest pattern of the latest pattern of attack, or with the latest pattern of scanning that they should do. But these are not just some config files from which they are going to read from, they are full-fledged codes. So basically the CPU is handed over some code which is sitting the user space by this driver, where it will run, and if something goes wrong, disaster happens. Now the disaster normally happens when you do it on your own setup, but that is fine. Your own your computer just went into reboot or crashed, or you lost your data. But what if you then push it to computers all over the world? So flights were delayed, hospitals were affected, patients were affected, and Crowdstrike absolutely has blood on their hands. It's unthinkable, but we cannot leave it at that because it will happen again if we just take it as a one-off incident. We must learn from it, and we must enforce change. First of all, the first thing that we must learn is it's not a good idea to give the kernel space access of so many computers to just one company. So it's like almost half of the Fortune 500 companies use CrowdStrike. So it's a bad idea. Funny, Elon Musk tweeted he deleted CrowdStrike. But yeah, so now the second thing is that there should be accountability on the management, on not on the engineer. Like you as an engineer can push a bug. Like you can't code if you are afraid of bugs. So anybody and everyone, even the 10x engineer, even Prime, even Fireship, they can also have bugs in their code. Even the tech lead can have bugs in their code. So but what it is the job of the test engineers, and it is the job of the project manager to make sure that it is well tested, and it is given to the test teams, and the testing is done rigorously. This should have been caught right away, but I guess they coded in a hurry and they pushed it in a hurry, not thinking of the consequences. So there should be accountability for this company, not for the engineer, but for this company and their leaders. The second thing is we must, especially in India, all over the world, but especially in India, which we must, make people aware of the importance of testing. So testing should not be ignored, and testing should not be a work that is looked down upon, or forget about looked down upon. It should be taken with prime importance, because the importance of testing is very critical in any project. And with that, we hope that nothing like this happens and we learn from it, and we do not have monopolies of cyber security companies over the whole market. And we should be careful of running anything in kernel space, because we are working on a landmine. So basically, with that, I leave you. Thank you for watching.